Hello my friends, welcome back to the Quack House. My name is Anna and I am the maker and creator behind Quack House Crochet. If you are new here, welcome to the flock, and if you are a returning friend, I am so happy to have you back in my little corner of the internet. I don't know if you noticed, but I switched up the intro a little bit. And by switched up, I mean I added 2 words. So normally I just say I'm the maker behind Quack House Crochet because I make the things. And this week, for the first time, I feel like I am truly a creator. And that is because I am super excited to announce, I don't think I did announce it in the last video, I could be wrong, but I am super excited to announce in this video that I am getting ready to release my first ever pattern, and pattern number 2 is actually already in the works. And that kind of brings me to what we're going to be doing here and talking about here today. I was chatting with Christine from What's Up Cupcake Crafts, and we were kind of talking about the busyness of like life and the week, and she was talking about how she wasn't ready to, like, I guess upload or edit her video yet, or how she was kind of putting off editing her video. And I was like, well, I don't even know what my video is going to be this week. It was Sunday night by this point, and I obviously upload on Tuesdays, and I was telling her, I was like, life has just been so crazy between work, blah, 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 and I have just been testing patterns and writing this pattern and working with testers and getting this all done. And she was like, girl, that's the video. And she was not that crude. She was not rude like that, but she was like very encouraging and like, that's the video, that's what you talk about. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. I was all for it. I can do that. I can talk about what I've made. And as I started to think about like, well, I don't think I really made that much this week, I realized that I am a liar. I have made quite a bit this week, and I'm really happy to share that with you. I will also say that it is Monday, August 18th, and I am trying to get this out for my weekly upload tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, for like my normal upload. And so I'm going to try to do this not like as quickly as possible, but what I'm going to try and do is just make this as real as possible and just kind of sit here and chat with you and not worry too much about like all of the little like editing things and making it all like fancy and pretty. I'm just going to kind of sit and chat and be nice and cozy and comfy with y'all. I have my tea, my sweet tea. And so let's just kind of sit down and catch up and talk about what I've been doing for the last, I say for the last week, but it's really been like a week and a half. There are some things that I shared over on Instagram, but I haven't necessarily shared them here. And so I figured now's as good a time as any, right? Okay, so let's get right into it, shall we? So the very first thing I want to share with you is actually something I made, I would think it's about a week or 2 ago, because this pattern has already been released. It is out in the world. It is wonderful. It is beautiful. And I definitely shared it on Instagram because it is so cute. It is just so adorable. But I haven't shared it here. And why? I don't know. Because I'm ridiculous. But so I did a pattern test for the aforementioned Christine of What's Up Cupcake Crafts. And it is this guy right here. Oh, I love him. This is a May crab, right? If you are a Studio Ghibli fan, then you know exactly what this is. Well, I was gonna say maybe you didn't recognize it right away because of the fact that I made mine blue. I like the blue crab vibes. But this is a May crab. This was Christine's, not her first ever pattern because she did do her positive potato, but also check the alliteration on that. But this was her first release of a paid pattern, and I think she knocked it out of the park with this one. I'm so honored. I'm honestly honored anytime somebody trusts me enough to say, give me your feedback on this thing that I've poured my heart and my soul into. And now that I have designed a pattern, it is especially, or I guess like I'm especially cognizant of how vulnerable, I guess, and how much work and love you put into these patterns, and then how vulnerable you kind of make yourself by saying like, test it. Tell me everything I can do to improve, right? And it can be a scary thing. But Christine has so graciously, rather invited me into her first pattern test. And I just love him. I love him so much. This is a very low sew pattern. The only thing you have to sew on is this hat right here, and she does give you an option for a Totoro hat, and I just think that is so adorable. I didn't have grays in the right colors. Well, I didn't have grays at all. So this is all made out of Big Twist plush, and I didn't have grays in that, but you only have to sew on the hat, but if you decide to make one, right, either the Totoro hat or the little straw hat here, and then the claws right here on the side. And I love that he's got these big chunky like claws. Side note, right, side quest, I am not a crab eater, not because I don't like it. I absolutely love shellfish, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to eat crab. But the claws are always my favorite part, and this guy is no exception. The claws are my favorite part because they're just so chunky, and just the shape of this guy is so adorable. It is like perfection. And as we were doing the testing for this, I told her, I was like, okay, Christine, hear me out. You have to make this like a multicolored, layered, right, crab, and then call him a crab cake and put like a little candle on top of him, because I just think the face, or like the shape of his face, is so adorable, and it would lend to that perfectly. These eyes right here, if I'm not mistaken, are 30 millimeter eyes. I'm pretty sure they're 30s. And I bought these as part of a kit on Amazon. And the backings that they give you for these eyes, so let me back up. The kit that I bought on Amazon, the eyes range from 6 millimeter all the way up to 30 millimeter. And there's one size of backing. And when I first bought that, I didn't see a problem with it because I was very inexperienced with safety eyes and placement and backings and things falling out and how they need to be secure. I'm aware now, right? Like, I am painfully aware that not all backings are created equal. So what I ended up doing for this guy was I pushed the eyes in and then I hot glued them in place. And I created a quasi backing in here by like putting on some hot glue and then allowing it to solidify after it had already been placed into the work. And then I went underneath the actual eye itself before I had like stuffed it all the way, and I hot glued it to the surface as well. So this is my May crab, again, pattern test by What's Up Cupcake Crafts. Everything that I talk about today, I will definitely make sure to link in the description box below, so that if you want to, you can go and purchase these patterns or make them yourself. Christina's selling this on her Ko-fi. I will never know how to pronounce it. So well written, so easy to understand, and it worked up really, really quickly, and it's so adorable. I'm sorry, this is cute. I feel like for you people on the East Coast or like in more marine towns, this would be a knock it out of the park seller. And I'm really, really excited to take this guy with me to a market. I will say though, I do want to make another one in the actual like pink coloring that a May crab typically has, and I want to put the Totoro hat on it, and I want to see how that does at market. I have no Studio Ghibli items in my inventory at all, and I think I need to change that. So this is the first one, and I am excited to bring many, 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 many more to my markets. All right, speaking of markets, April from the Cozy Buckeye has been killing it with her market series, right? She has just been pumping out the patterns left and right, and just giving us all of these adorable animals. And I applied when I saw her put out the pattern test for this one because number one, it's April, but also number two, I have been looking for a pig pattern for forever. I think the very first thing that was crochet related that I ever sold was a pig, and the person who purchased it from me was a friend of mine, and she told me, hey, my mom likes to collect like pigs with wings, you know, like when pigs fly. Can you give this guy some wings? And I was like, yeah, I can absolutely do that, not a problem. Totally panicked. Right, and looked for like a pattern with wings online, or a wing pattern. I can't even remember where I found like the wings portion of it, but was able to make some wings and attach it to the piggy. If I can find a picture of it, I will pop that up right here. But since then, I feel like I have been on the quest for like the perfect pig pattern, because I've tried one or two like teeny tiny pig patterns. Every time I have brought them with me to a market, I've sold them, and they've only ever been like a one-off. And other than these patterns back here that I did, like these pattern tests that I did back here for Stacy over at Stacy Makes, I don't have a pig pattern. I don't have like a really small, quick pig pattern, and I've just never found one that I like. Enter Polly. Enter Polly. Polly the pig. Guys, I love this pattern. So these are super duper quick to make. They're all no sew. I love this detail. This was not a brainchild of my own. This was something that she did in her pattern, where she gave them the little like side smirk, and I'm here for it. It is so cute. Look at their little curly tails in the back here. Now I will say, she shows you how to make these nostrils with acrylic yarn, and you do of course have the option to just whip stitch it on and just embroider like a real simple like slit for a nostril. But I really wanted to, like, as a pattern tester, try all of the instructions that she had put out for us. And I guess my first attempt was, it went a little askew because he's got quite big nostrils. I was gonna say, from the front it doesn't look too bad, but when you turn this guy to the side, like, he definitely looks like he's rocking a nose piercing or something. But so we'll just keep him like this, right? Like this, he is perfection. But so this is Polly the pig. This is the solid colored version, and I actually made this out of this yarn bee yarn from Hobby Lobby. I was gifted this from my mama, who is amazing, but I hate that yarn. I hate the yarn bee yarn. It's just, it's really, really rough, and it really does like a number on my hands. Like, it feels kind of like the old formula Bernat, but something about working with it, just, it really, like I said, it really hurts my hands. It really does a number on them. So I don't like working with it, but I just thought that color was the perfect color for a little piggy. And also I want to use what I have, right? But so this was my first piggy. And then as she, well, first of all, because it was such a quick make, I wanted to make another one. But then as we were testing the pattern, she had come up with come out with a second style of ears, like a second option for the ears. So I wanted to also make sure that I attempted that and got it done. And she had another variation for a spotted pig. So I wanted to do the spotted pig as well, because I have this Sweet Snuggles. I don't know if you can see it. Oh yeah, you can. It's black. It's like a tweedy, very variation, I guess, variation of Sweet Snuggles Light. And I bought this forever ago. I don't even know where the yarn wrapper was. I couldn't tell you where it went. I made a midnight unicorn out of this that turned out really cool looking. Maybe I'll pop a picture in here. That was a pattern test for Crochet by Jenna, but I just really loved the look of it. And after having made that unicorn, I don't have too much of it left, but I really loved the idea of using it for this little market pig. So this little market pig is made out of Sweet Snuggles Light. All of this is Sweet Snuggles Light, and then you can see in the ears, well, the pink is very, very light, but you can see in the ears, maybe I'll hold these two up for comparison, right? The difference and the way that the color change makes such a difference, where even though, I mean, technically speaking, even though it's a flat piece, it does really look like you've got that inner ear, outer ear contrast. So these were really cool. And like I said, you just can't beat how quick you can make this. I think it takes me like, well, this one, let's talk about this one. This one, it took me a little bit, and I think it's because for some reason, maybe it was just so late at night, but I could not wrap my brain around the color change in the ears. It was not the pattern, it was me. I was doing something wrong, and whatever it was that I was doing it wrong, I did it multiple times wrong. So, but once we got that all taken care of, this was the outcome. And doesn't it remind you of like Pua from Moana, little Pua pig? He is one of my favorites, and I just love him. And I know deep in my heart, deep in my soul, that these little piggies are going to market and they're going to end up going home with a loving family. Also, my nostrils turned out much better on this guy. He's just got regular nostrils. He's not an angsty pierced piggy with his nostrils, right? So these are my two tests for April at the Cozy Buckeye. These are Polly the Market Pigs. And I just think it's kind of cool because you know, everybody knows April and Stacy are such good friends, and so I just thought it was cool too because Stacy had allowed me to test Louie the pig, and so I made this male Louie with the overalls and the female Louie with the dress, and I can't just help but think that like these are their little babies. When I do bring these to market, and I know I'm going to be making more of these guys, I am going to put them all together so they look like a cute little pig family with the mommy and daddy Louie. Ow. Okay. Anyway, and then the little baby pigs right here. So thank you so much, April, for trusting me with being a part of your tester group as well. The last test that I have to show you, if you've been here for the last week or two, you know that I'm absolutely part of the Crafty Guam Hype Squad. I had the pleasure of testing her Laddie Stone right there, which I know I didn't talk too much about when I first introduced that I did that pattern test, but that's really significant to our culture. If you didn't know, I was born and raised on Guam. I think I have mentioned this on the channel before. I lived there until I was 31, and then I moved out here to Arizona in 2016, and I've been here ever since. So I'm an island girl through and through. White complexion be darned. I am an islander, and I was, like I said, born and raised on Guam. Dee is still on Guam, and so she makes these beautiful like Marianas and Guam, Saipa and Rota, like that part of the world. She makes these beautiful Micronesia Marianas inspired patterns, and I am here for them. This pattern test that I did for her, let me just tell you guys, okay, the entire time I was working on these, it made me so homesick because on Guam, right? Let's chat a little bit. On Guam, there are mom and pop stores everywhere. They are these little mom and pop stores, and in the majority of them, if not all of them, you can pop in there and, you know, of course, get like your snacks, your sweets, your drinks, right? But there's always this like, and some selections are bigger than others, there's always like a small section in the front of the store with pickled items and or these little like home bakery, home kitchen, either like food plates or local yummies. Probably like the standout like superstar of this is a store back on Guam called Chatty store. And if you walk into Chatty, I personally feel like even bigger than their selection of snacks and goodies and stuff in terms of like prepackaged shelf stable stuff is their enormous selection of like pickled items and fresh foods from local home chefs. And you need to get there early if you want to get these guys. So this is an empanada, and I know that is not like an uncommon name or like a Guam specific or Mariana specific name, because if you live in a state where there's a large Hispanic community or a large like Latin community or Latin culture, please forgive me if I'm not using these terms of heritage correctly, right? I'm still learning, but empanadas are pretty commonplace. So, but let me tell you how they do it on Guam. On Guam, an empanada is a crust that is made out of, we call it masa harina. It might be the same or something similar, but corn flour. So it's made out of corn flour. The orangish coloring, and by the way, this Bernat Mystical, perfect coloring for this. So I think in English, the word for the seed that they used is called anato. On Guam, we call it atzote. And essentially what you do is there's a seed. I mean, everything comes in a powder form now, so you can use it in the powder. If you go to Walmart, it's like the Sazon seasoning, right? And I think it's like atzote con culantro or something like that. But anyway, that's what they use to color the masa, to color the flour as they mix it into like a dough. And then you flatten it out kind of like a tortilla, and the inside of it is like either cream of rice or ground up rice, and usually chicken or, you know, chicken stock or something. You're like, girl, we came here for crochet. Why are you giving us a cooking lesson? Because your girl likes to eat. But they ground it up, and they usually make it pretty spicy, and they put that filling into this, and then they fry it. It is so good. It is the taste of home. The last time I went home was in 2023. I don't think I bought an empanada, and now I'm kicking myself in the butt for it. But anyway, and I should probably find a picture online, and I'll pop a picture up right here of what an empanada looks like. They're delicious. They're so good. And I think this pattern, which is really, really quick, it's like your little Jellycat inspired empanada with his cute little feet. He looks like he's just ready to like hang out on the storefront and be purchased, and unfortunately also be eaten. Well, unfortunate for you, sir. Very fortunate for me. The other kind of variation that you see of this a lot is something on Guam that they call buchi buchi or pastit, and it is this little guy right here. So I've got my empanada and I've got my pastit, right? So I think the only difference, honestly, is that a buchi buchi is fried and a pastit is baked. And in terms of filling, a buchi buchi or a pastit is usually sweet. So it's made with like pumpkin filling, think like pumpkin pie vibes, right? So either a pumpkin filling or an apple filling. And my favorite is the pumpkin. My aunt back home makes the best pumpkin pastit. it's like a turnover essentially. So if you know, if you were to compare these to things out here, I mean, empanadas, like I said, I think people know what empanadas are, and these would be kind of compared to like turnovers. But anyway, this was the empanada, this was the turnover, or the pastel, or the butchi butchi, whichever one you want them to be. And this was a pattern test for Crafty Guam. Super, super simple, super easy, really, really fast, quick market makes. And the nice thing about these is that even though they are kind of specific to Guam in the sense that like that was the intent behind the pattern, does this not look like a pierogi? Or does it not look like a little gyoza, right? You could totally adapt these to be, especially like if you come from a place, or if you're from a culture that eats things like pierogis or gyozas, or has another little confection that looks like these, or a little baked item, you could absolutely adapt these to say that that's what they were for your market. I feel like I just keep playing with his legs. You can sew the little legs into place, but she gives you instructions to crochet them into place, so you don't have to do any sewing. Quick, easy, cute little market makes. The no sew empanada from Crafty Guam. All right. So those are all of the patterns I made for other people, or like tested for other people, like I said, within like the last week and a half or so. Okay, now I want to talk to you guys about what I made essentially for me. So first of all, the last video I made, there's a pile here, so I'm going to show you the pile. But the last video I made, which was the hooking up the town, we came up with this cutie patootie. This is our B&P freeze-dried candy mascot, and so obviously I have not seen them yet to give her to them, but this was the guy that started it all. And it accidentally turned into the designing of my first pattern, which was these guys right here, my little candy cuties. So you've got Taffy, we named them, by the way. You have Taffy, which is a plain candy, and she has a little bow. Then this guy is Nougat. Nougat is a center-filled candy. He's got a little curly Q there, and he is center-filled in the front and in the back. If you like cowtails, he was modeled after a cowtail. And then Pepper. This is Pepper. Pepper is obviously a peppermint swirl candy, and she came with a little elf hat, right? So this pattern that I designed, with the exception of if you decide to do the bow or the hat, is completely no sew. These are surface crocheted into the body, and this little curly Q is also surface crocheted into the body. So these were the original 3 that I put out there on my Instagram, on my social media, to advertise the pattern and the pattern test. And let me just take this opportunity to say thank you all so much. So the last video was funny because I think you could kind of see like my ebbs and flows, or like my peaks and valleys of like the design process. It reminds me of that scene from Tangled, you know, when she first gets free and she's with Flynn Rider and she's like, "This is the best day ever. I'm a horrible person." I felt like that was me. In the last video, I was like, "I'm so proud of myself. This is stupid. Nobody's gonna want it." So I was all over the place, and y'all came, like y'all showed up in the comments, and thank you so much. You guys were just so encouraging. I had people telling me they're so cute, I would love to be a tester for you. That was so encouraging. So I went to Instagram and I was like, yes, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put out a tester call and I'm gonna maybe get 6 people. And I had also reached out to a few people, like a few friends. I call them friends. They're probably like, we feel sorry for this girl. I call them friends. I would like to think they're my friends. But I reached out to Travel Crochet, Tracy from Travel Crochet, and I was like, hey, I know you're a pattern designer. Would you possibly test this for me? I reached out to Stacy over at Stacy Makes. I reached out to Dee, obviously from Crafty Guam, and Christine from What's Up Cupcake Crafts. And I was like, hey, I have this pattern. I should also say I reached out to Audrey from Oddball Crochet and Jenna from Crochet by Jenna. I am a member of Jenna's Patreon, and I have pattern tested for Audrey before. And, you know, even though I knew they probably wouldn't be able to test for me, I was like, would you mind like looking over the pattern? They were dolls. They were so wonderful. They looked it over for me. They offered me suggestions, corrections, like they were amazing, right? So to me, and I told Stacy this as well, I was like, this is like the equivalent of going to a Beyonce concert and she's like, girl, come sing with me. Because to me, these people are all rock stars. So anyway, I had reached out to them and I was like, maybe if 1 or 2 of them could test for me, and then maybe I could get like 6 people on Instagram. Maybe I'll get like, you know, 6 to 8 people who will help me out with this. Like 22, 23 people applied to test. That was like overwhelming in the best way possible. Because I sat there and the minute I got like 5 people, I was like, that's it. These are the 5 people I can get to test. And then more people started applying, and then people started commenting on the YouTube video because they wanted to test the pattern. I was, like I said, just overwhelmed in the best way possible. And so grateful just for everybody's encouragement and everybody's support. So I did actually select a few people and then had to turn some people away, which I did not think was going to happen. And so know this, if you applied for the test and you were not chosen, that was really hard for me, okay? That was really hard for me. And I'm so grateful for this group of testers that I had. They have come in clutch. They've been really helpful with helping me to work through things that I wasn't sure about, providing me with resources, providing me with ideas, and then just to see all of their makes and to hear that they're enjoying the process, that they want to make more, that they have people in their lives who have seen these creations or seen their creations and are like, make all of the candies, right? Like that, my heart is so full. It fills my heart up in a way that I have no words for. All right, I'll stop being wishy-gushy. Okay, so these were the originals, right? Taffy, Nougat, and Pepper. And then we had an evolution thanks to my testers. So it's going to break my heart that I cannot remember which one of my testers suggested this to me. I will pop their Instagram handle up right here. In the original Pepper, I surface crocheted the swirly detail in the front and in the back. You can obviously see where this went askew. And one of my testers was like, why don't you just do a color change in the back so that you don't have to do that additional surface crochet detail? And I was like, okay, let me try that. It worked. This is like Peppermint's brother Spearmint, right? So this is, again, just the same surface crochet detail in the front, but in the back now, instead of doing that surface crochet detail, you actually work the coloring into the round. So I made these guys as kind of like my originals and then my testers or my pattern progress models, the models of the candy world. And then I was like, you know what, let's have some fun now. Let's have some fun. So I made an evil twin version for each one of those. So here's Taffy, and here's Zombie Taffy. So I did this guy like a little zombie. I put, you know, the little like scarring stitching here, and then I used the curly Q. I don't know if it comes across this way, but I used the little curly Q that's on Nougat to kind of be like brains, like oozing brains coming out. So again, Taffy, evil Taffy. Here's Nougat, and here's witchy Nougat. And then this one is probably my favorite. So I'm gonna bring Pepper back. So this is Pepper. Does it not look like Beetlejuice? I haven't decided yet what add-on I want to do for this guy. But he gives me total Beetlejuice vibes. These are all the candies I made in the last 2 weeks or week and a half since I announced this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Whee! I wish I could get like, maybe I'll just screenshot it and this will be my thumbnail. What do you guys think? As I try to talk to you and not move because I can't press the button. Okay, enough of that. So I had so much fun designing the pattern. It will be released August 24th. I have finalized the instructions with my testers, and I'm now giving them a little bit of, you know, time to, like, if they want to make a few more variations, or, you know, for those of them who are really, really busy and just haven't had the time to get that done yet, giving them a little bit more time to kind of get that done. I'm so excited. I want to show you guys the prototypes for my next pattern. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little delirious. Anyway, okay, are you ready? So I'm just gonna give you a heads up. I'm going to keep it in the candy family. Okay, so for my next pattern, I would like to introduce you all to, make sure it's facing the right way here, Toots. This is Toots. Toots is going to be my next pattern. And of course you can play with like the coloring and stuff on Toots. But I'm not going to go so crazy with like the different versions of it, because in addition to Toots, you will also get mini Toots. So it will be Toots and mini Toots. So these are the prototypes. I'm going to do a little bit of adjustments with the coloring. I'm probably going to lessen the white on this side and expand the brown a little bit. I'll probably end up doing the same thing with this little guy right here. The other thing I'm really like kind of jazzed about is that what I'm going to do is I'm also going to attempt to make it so that you can decide whether or not you want to make a version of Toots where you can actually open it and put the little baby Toots inside. Okay. Or, you know, your Halloween candy stash. And then obviously, of course, if I do that, we'll adjust the placement of the eyes so that they go this way as opposed to going vertical. But yeah, that's Toots and baby Toots. I'm really excited, guys. Travel Crochet is coming out with a pattern for the traveling healers, and I love it because There's not going to be any felt work involved. If you haven't gone and seen her latest videos, and well, her latest video and then the live that she just did on her channel, go check it out, because she gives you like the sneaky peek of what those patterns look like, and they're so cute, and I think they're going to be really, really nice, like market sized makes. So you're definitely going to want to keep an eye out for that. So I get to test that pattern for her as well. So I'm really, really excited about that. The last thing I wanted to share with y'all is I got some Happy Mail today. This is, if y'all didn't know, we're big What's Up Cupcake fans around here, all right? So she had done her first like palm streets within the last week and a half, last 2 weeks. I already got to look at the sticker. I'm teasing. So I had to support. She's just phenomenal. Christine and so many of the wonderful people I have met in this community, they're everything right with the world. Let me just tell you right now, they're everything right with the world. So anyway, she was on Palm Street. Let's see if I can like not make this so loud. She was on Palm Street and she was selling her safety eyes. If you guys have not purchased safety eyes from her before, you're doing yourself a disservice, my friends. A huge disservice, and you need to go and check her out. I've got 2, 3, 4 markets coming up for the fall holiday season so far. I haven't been market prepping because I've been playing around with candy, but one of the things I definitely want to have at my table are some toothless options, some Night Fury options. And look at those! You cannot tell me these are not the perfect Night Fury eyes. Like, everything she gives you is so cute. Her packaging is always so cute. Like, guys, down to the paper clips, okay? Down to the paper clips. Christine, you're killing the game, my friend. You are killing the game. That's everything I have for you. I walked into this thinking, I'm not going to have anything to talk about. And 55 minutes later, here we still are. So there will be a couple of things I definitely want to edit out. Thank you all for everything. Thank you all for being here. You make life so, so magical. And I just feel really blessed and like really honored that I found this community, and that I found like a little corner of it to kind of wiggle my way into. So if you like this content, if you like videos like this, if you just like crochet, consider sticking around. Click that subscribe button down below. Like this video, drop me a comment and let me know which of those candies was your favorite. If you made it to the end of this, maybe drop me a little candy emoji. Let me know if you like Toots. Let me know if you like Baby Toots. I can't say that name without going Toots. Let me know if you like Toots and Mini Toots, and if you would like to test them, because I think once the Candy Cuties pattern has gone out, the very next thing that we will be doing is putting out the tester call for Toots, provided I have accomplished everything I want to accomplish in terms of the different like variations and modifications for her. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so, so happy you're here. Thank you for being part of my flock, and I'll see you next time. Bye.